200,000 years ago, something remarkable happened. The human brain didn't just evolve, it tripled in size, practically overnight. Evolution isn't supposed to work like that, not at this scale, not that fast. In fact, there's no clean fossil trail explaining how we got here. And yet, here we are, conscious, verbal, and technological. According to the Sumerians, which is the first recorded civilization, they left more behind than just temples. They left cuneiform tablets describing beings coming from the sky. They called them the Anunnaki. According to them, the Anunnaki didn't evolve here on Earth. They arrived and came with a plan to create workers. But before we get into that, picture this for a second. The human cerebral cortex is the brain's outer layer of nerve tissue, and it's the most complex object we know in the universe. It's responsible for language, memory, consciousness, morality, creativity, and problem solving. It contains billions of neurons connected by trillions of synapses, forming electrical webs far more powerful than any supercomputer. That's right, let that sink in. Your brain is more powerful than any supercomputer on Earth today. But here's the strange part. In the fossil records, the human cerebral cortex didn't evolve gradually. It ballooned in size over a relatively short period of time. Some researchers call it the Great Leap Forward, but what triggered it? But the ancient Sumerian tablets, they didn't call it a mystery. They said that we were genetically engineered by the Anunnaki to be their slaves. Now, I hope you're still watching, because what I'm about to tell you is going to get a whole lot stranger. Welcome, my friends. My name's William, and you are watching. So, how did it come to be that the Anunnaki decided to create man? Before humans were ever on planet Earth, the Anunnaki already had workers. They were called the Ajiji. Powerful, tireless, loyal at first to the Anunnaki. For thousands of years, their job was solely to mine the Earth's gold. The ancients told us in tales like the Epic of Atrahasis, the Enuma Elish, and the Epic of Gilgamesh that the Ajiji grew tired of doing all the labor for the Anunnaki, so they rebelled. The ancient texts say the Ajiji heaved the pickaxes in protest. They marched to the gates of Enlil's palace, they surrounded it, and they threw down their tools. They didn't ask, they demanded their freedom. So the Anunnaki leaders met in council. Enki, the science god, proposed a solution. Let us create a worker, not born from the sky, but the earth. A hybrid, strong like the Ajiji, but controllable. A being that could follow orders, yet ask no questions. So the Anunnaki gods took some earthly material and mixed it with their divine essence. And there are those that believe that that earthly material that they took and infused their essence with was an existing ancestor on this planet, likely a Homo heidelbergensis, who we know was inhabiting the earth around 500,000 years ago, when it is said that the Anunnaki actually came down from heaven to earth. According to the ancient texts, they didn't just create a new creature, they created a hybrid, part them, part us. His name was Adapa. He appears in Sumerian and Akkadian texts as the first intelligent man, gifted with language, wisdom, but not immortality. Adapa was not fully divine, but he wasn't fully of the earth either. He was a test subject, the template. Now, listen to this, because this will blow your mind. In Sumerian, Adamu means one made of earth. In Akkadian, Adapa, the wise serpent. In Hebrew, Adam, the first man. That is not a coincidence. It is clear that modern religious texts were heavily influenced by ancient ones. But that, my friends, is a whole nother topic for a whole nother video. So we have 3 names, 1 story. A being that was created with divine essence, created in the image of the gods, charged with tending to the earth. So here's the real question. Was Adapa, Adamu, Adam the first man, or the first edit by the Anunnaki? Now, picture this. Inside every human cell is a secret, a genetic anomaly, so precise it almost feels surgical. Humans carry 46 chromosomes, chimps, gorillas, 48. So what happened to ours? They didn't vanish, they merged. 2 ancestral chromosomes fused into what we now call chromosome number 2. And here's the twist. That kind of fusion is extremely rare in nature. But what's stranger is how clean it is. No missing data, no corrupt sequences. At this precise fusion site, scientists found a molecular scar, as if something or someone deliberately joined 2 separate codes into one. Some say it's just evolution. Others say we were edited. Now, the ancient Sumerians had a symbol, 2 serpents entwined around a rod. We call it the caduceus, but zoom in, and it mirrors the DNA double helix of modern human beings. So ask yourself the very important question: how did our ancestors 6,000 years ago know what a DNA double helix actually looked like? And here's something about that ancient Sumerian symbol that you might find actually rather baffling. Doesn't it appear to look eerily similar to the same symbol used today to represent modern medicine? Now, I wonder why that is. Now, this part not a lot of people know. Unlike chimps and gorillas, your larynx sits low in the throat. That gives you the ability for speech and, unfortunately, the risk of choking. It's a risky mutation, but without it, we simply do not have the ability to speak. And how would a civilization actually function if it could not communicate with each other? So you have to ask yourself, what makes us, Homo sapiens, so special? Why, out of the 21 known human species there has been on this earth, are we the ones who can speak with complex language? Because no other species was able to do so. It's just one more small thing that many people believe points to the fact that we were engineered to obey. So what if our bodies are the evidence? What if your brain, your blood, your chromosome number 2 is the fossilized fingerprint of the ancient biotech? If so, the Sumerian tablets aren't mythology. They are a user manual, a record of genetic modification, a history of intervention. But by who? The ancient texts give us a very clear name: the Anunnaki. Now, even though there are some clear anomalies with our own bodies and our own DNA, the mainstream will scoff at the idea that any outside intervention was actually a tributing factor to why we, kind of mutated the way we did, let's say. Obviously, none of this can actually be proven, whether the Anunnaki were actually, responsible for this mutation. I mean, we have the ancient texts. The ancient texts clearly say that they did come down from heaven, from the heavens, and create man and, put us to work because of the Ajiji, like I said. But obviously, it cannot be proven, but, it makes for a very, very fascinating story. Do you think we were modified? Do you think the Anunnaki came down and modified us, or do you think it's all a bunch of hogwash? But one thing's for sure, some of these mysteries about our own bodies, science still can't explain it today.